Uh,
All right, but we are going live. Damn, that blood and guts match on AEW is ridiculous. Well, hello everybody. Welcome to Collecting Profit. I'm one of your hosts, Michael. Right to my left, over there on my right. Let's see. He would be on that side right there.
yeah,
My
yeah.
buddy Anthony. How you doing, Anthony?
Hey, man, doing great. Glad to be with you again, man. Another awesome week.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Trying to figure out what the hell was going on here, folks. Sorry for a couple minutes late. I was having some technical difficulties. Um, so man, that show Saturday, that was a good one. We had a good one there with Splendid Cards. He's a good guy.
Yeah,
He's a
man.
really good guy. I really enjoyed that show and everything.
Yeah,
Um,
I enjoyed it as well.
yeah.
Look forward to having him back on.
So one of the things, hey Will, how's it going, buddy? One of
What's
the
up,
things I
Will?
wanted to talk about tonight was I wanted to kind of build off of a conversation that you and the chef were having when you were going to the last show. You're talking about comps and stuff like that. Yes, I am, Will. So for those who haven't seen it, come back, Anthony, after we do the show and everything. Um, put the link to that video in the comments, and I will pin it as the top comment so people can actually see the show. That we are the video that we're gonna reference and stuff. But what's up, Johnny? What give it an overall gist of what you guys were talking about that day when it came to comps and stuff, because I wanted to add some stuff, talk to some, then just more elaborate on as you're collecting profits, the comps. Is the market going up? Is it going down? What is the market doing?
Yeah, sure. So the essential gist of the video was the way the market is really moving because of the way that the comps work is all based off of like what sold last on eBay. So essentially, if one card sells for $200, the next guy is going to roll in and be like, "Hey, can I get that for 190, 180?" Something in that range. And then the next person's going to roll in like, "Hey, I see this last one sold for 180. Can I get that for like 175, 160?" You know what I mean? So like because of that, Chef was making the point that he feels like that's why we're seeing such a downtick in the market, is because like everybody's trying to get one off of the last sold, and typically that's the way it works, is just tracking those eBay solds.
Yeah, and when I was looking at that, and I was uh, you know looking at what Marty was saying, I started thinking about it more and more, and it's it's funny how comps work, in my opinion, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's funny when you look at a lot of other things that you're trying to comp. Well, if it's homes, if it's cars, or whatever it may be, and everything. Most of the time, you know, you'll look at the last, five or six, and you're gonna throw out the high, the crazy high, that one off for whatever reason someone was dumb enough to pay that much, right? And then you kind of wipe out the low because somebody was dumb enough to go ahead and sell it for that low, right? And you take the ones in the middle, and though that's where you get your comp is. But it is funny in that in this market, of cards, that's not what happened. Like that's not how it works. And it to me, it's I don't understand that. Just because I mean, you can't go by the last sold, because a lot of times we make an assumption as to why somebody sold, right? Some people, but there are guys that sell and go, I just want to sell. I don't care what I get for it. That they're saying, what, I pulled this card out of a blaster box that I paid $30 for. So I got 30 cards in it. So in reality, I bought this card, for $1.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to get in and get out and sell it. So I'm going to sell it for 30, even though I should sell it for 40, 50, 45, something along those lines. That's why I don't understand why we don't throw out. Like, I can understand if you look up a card and there's only been 2 sales, right? But when you see a card and you have a bunch of sales for it, I just don't understand that the reasoning for the comping the way we do, which sucks when you're the seller. It's great when you're the buyer.
It really makes me like understand why a lot of like these crotchety old dealers at shows go by the book, because like the going by comps like with eBay and stuff is so like it's not a very good metric for the seller, especially when you factor in like all of the auction houses, you know what I mean, that are taking in cards in bulk, setting them at 99 cents and selling them for what they go for.
Right.
Like one example I give is like Darius Garland, who's like a top 10 point guard in the league, like somebody I collect. Like there's no reason his like colored parallels of his rookie card should be selling graded for like $10 and under. You know what I mean? Like it's just like insane, but because a lot of these comps are basically just going off of, we're starting this at 99 cents and letting it roll. Doesn't matter if it's ending in the middle of the night or when it ends. You know what I mean? Like it's really tanking the value on a lot of cards, especially the ultra modern.
Yeah, and like I said, I think and it hurts from that from that aspect and stuff. And I was getting like it was funny when I was listening to the conversation at first. I was like, well, yeah, but and then I started saying, well, no, it's really true that there is so much looked at on that last comp on what was the last comp on eBay? What was the last comp on eBay?
Mm-hmm.
And you don't, but I guess you have to, when you think about it from a standpoint, you almost have to go by the eBay. I mean, because what? Yeah, people aren't still carrying around Beckett magazine, with the values in it. Number one. Number two, if you don't go to eBay, where are you going to go?
True.
Like, I mean,
even if they did have Beckett's, like, would people take Beckett's word for the pricing? You know what I mean? That'd be the other thing. Like, you'd have one camp saying, "Oh, well, PSA didn't come up with that pricing."
Exactly. Why is Beckett going to be the king of the price, but PSA is the king of the driving the price?
Mm-hmm.
But I was thinking about it, like, I mean, yeah, okay, if you want to look at, the higher end cards, the cards that are selling, more in the, the big thousands and thousands of dollars, okay, you could look at Golden, you can look at Heritage, you can look at some of those places. But in reality, I froze up. But in reality,
you're good. I can still hear you.
Okay, well, in reality, when you are looking at, that $100 card, that even let's say, $1,500 card, that my camera's going to crap out on me again. I don't know what the hell's going on, folks. Sorry. Can you hear me?
You're handsome, man. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Like your camera cannot handle all that handsome.
Hopefully it'll come back. So, you you have no place else to go. You really don't, because like even if you're at a show, what are you going to do?
Yeah, very true.
I don't, Stash. I don't know where. Here's a good one right here.
I was just going to bring that up. Yeah, that's
I don't know.
Question. That would be a really good question to like actually ask like Dr. Jim Beckett sometime. Like, hey, where did you guys actually get the pricing for all of those cards?
Yeah,
because like for years, like their word was like gold in the community as far as like what your card was worth.
Yep. Like I said, I don't understand it. But again, we are, in a way, like we're like the prisoner of the moment, right? I mean, that's all we have to go by. I mean, now who knows? Maybe if, maybe with Fanatics buying what PWCC, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now maybe if they, start their marketplace, and people would go, "Oh, what did it go for on eBay? What did it go for on PWCC? Maybe that can help us in the future." But I don't know for sure.
Very good question, Stash. He said before eBay, what market research did they have to refer to? Basically, LCS's word. Could very well be. I would actually be very curious to find out how they actually got those comps, especially back in the pre-internet world, or at least the pre-eBay world. And the handsome is back, folks.
Woo!
The ratings have just gone through the roof.
No, I mean, it really is a good point. Damn that, I never really thought of that before. I guess, because back then, where were cards being sold?
Yeah, I mean, outside of card shops, I would say like flea markets. Like I know as a kid, like me and Marty used to go every single like Saturday to the flea market to buy cards. That was always big, at least in my part of the country.
Yeah.
Swap meets and stuff too, like which basically are kind of like flea markets.
I mean, card shows we're really, well, in the 80s, 90s, you had, there were still card shows. Mm-hmm. But even still, I think most of it, and quite honestly, I think at some point in time, as it first started, people went, okay, this is, a Bob Feller card. Bob Feller was one of the, you liked how I went for Feller, didn't you?
Bob Feller.
Bob Feller was, a really good pitcher, and in this time frame of baseball, he was considered a top block, blah 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 pitcher, and maybe that's how they came up with, oh well, that card must be worth some everything. Big John collectible.
What up, Big John? Good to see you, brother.
Big John's going to be on the show next week, folks. You don't want to miss that one.
Looking forward to that one.
Yep. Thanks for coming in, John. But you're right. I mean, comps it's weird how when you think of a lot of other things, like when you look at other markets and you look at other places where goods are sold, you'll have multiple things. Like look at hey, before we were really big into cards, we were selling other stuff, on eBay, right? So if you had a plush or something like that, what'd you do? You looked on eBay, but you might look on Mercari. You might look on, or if it was a certain type of clothing, you might look at Poshmark, right? You might look at, a bunch of different, sites for that. Us in the card market, and I would say even almost collectibles to a certain aspect, we don't have any place else to look.
Yeah.
True. Yeah, I know, like I said, an LCS, unless they have a website and they're posting and they're leaving all the cards that they sold on their website, that's the only way you think about going there. But you'd have to know about it, right? And you'd have to figure, well, the LCS in Pittsburgh, there's going to be a different value, on Steelers cards, versus, Cincinnati Bengal cards versus Raider cards versus Buccaneer cards, right? Because that's more, so if you log on to the LCS in Pittsburgh, well, you got a little bit of a, skewed pricing there, because that's where at least, eBay, you're getting, the whole country and everything. But I think in the long run, if we're going to depend, if the sole focus or so much of the focus is going to be on eBay, I think we have to look at a way of saying, look, the average is about this amount of money, not, well, the last one sold for.
Yeah.
Because the last one that sold for, like I couldn't stand if you said, hey, The last one sold for $100. But if you say, well, that was $100, it was the best offer. It was actually listed at 125, and let's say 125 is really the area it should go to. But some guy needed money, or some girl needed money, and said, "Wow, hey, Zach, how you doing, buddy? Thanks for coming up. Thanks for coming in. You know, I needed the money. You know what? Again, I pulled it out of a blaster box that I paid $30 for or $35 for, selling that card for 100. That's a big, a big profit right there.
Yeah.
So it's the only offer I got. I had my card sitting there. How long has the card been sitting on eBay? I mean, there's so many more factors in it that it's not like it's hard to really gauge the true value.
Yeah. And the sad part is we're all guilty of like tanking the comps for each other because like not one of us can like look at our eBay stores and not think of at least one card that if somebody offers us $1 for it, wouldn't be like, take the damn thing. You know what I mean? Like, just take it. Like, it's been sitting there for like 2 years. Like, I really don't need that Jared Stidham. Take the damn card.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. And that's why it's hard to, look at comps sometimes and figure out where you should price certain things. And it's so volatile depending on how the player goes. I mean, what it was. Remember Cam Johnson for the Nets, right? In basketball, he had that week. Hey, Adrian, how you doing? Thanks for stopping in. Appreciate it. Cam Johnson had that 1 week where he went absolutely crazy and his cards, wham. And then all of a sudden it went back to, he's going back to the bench. All right.
Yeah.
So if you're the guy and your son, you're going, hey, well, look, hey, the cards are going for $40. That's what it is and everything. Yep. Yeah, man. But the last one went for 25. Yeah, I know. But there's like 5 or 6 that sold for 40. Well, yeah, but the guy ain't playing anymore. He's sitting back on the bench.
Yeah.
So you have all that. Paul Man Stack, how you doing? What did Johnny say? Wish eBay had a feature where buyers could know how long a card had been listed. Yep. Yeah. I agree because that does, Anthony had the perfect, and he said mentioned, something like $1 card. There are people that'll do that with a $40 card.
Yeah.
Someone offers 30, you're like, for crying out loud, I've had this sitting out there for 6 months. Yeah. 30. Again, I pulled it out of a $1 box at a show. $30 is a good profit. So that's why comps on that lower end. And to me, I'm not talking lower end, $1.50 and stuff like that. The 20, the 25, the 30, heck, even maybe, 50, 75. That when you look at the market, that is a lower end type of card, right? When you see cards listed, for multiple hundreds, multiple thousands of dollars, so you have to realize a guy at that point in time, he's sitting there with a $50 card and somebody offers him 40 and you're like, oh my gosh, you took $40. Now, as Marty said in the video, now everybody thinks the new comp is 40.
Yep.
But the problem you have is the other 4, out of the 5 that sold, the other 4 all sold for 50. This person just happened to take 40 because he wanted to sell it.
Yeah, I'd say the only like saving grace in there is it'd probably still say like $50 best offer accepted. But like anyone like you or I that like knows like the websites you can go and actually look up to see what the best offers accepted are, are going to kind of know what that new like baseline is.
Right. Yeah. Sorry, Dom. I mean, sorry you have to suffer and pay.
I know it's really unfortunate. Can you imagine how much more money we'd all have if cards were free?
Oh golly, tell me about it.
Like if there's a multiple universe out there where cards are free, like I want to go there. Yeah. I'll be rich.
Yep. It won't, because it gives the buyer more leverage against the seller. Not a bad point. Not a bad point and everything, And I think, I again, it's just like we
let me Google it. It's offhand. I don't remember it. I don't use it that often. Like
Hold the phone,
reseller.
Dominator. But I mean, but that's what makes it so hard because of inexperience also. Like that's another thing, right? It's inexperience. 130 point. Adrian from A League of Her Own says 130 point.
Thank you very much. That saves me Googling even further.
But I think when you look, when you're looking at it,
I think reseller tools helps too. As far as reseller tools is another option out there. I think that was the one I was thinking of. But yeah, 130 points probably a little more reliable for cards.
Yeah, for cards. But I don't know. I mean, the comp, and that's what makes it sometimes,
Flippertools.com was what I was thinking of.
Say that. Flippertools.com. Say that again.
Flippertools.com. Yeah, here I'll put it in the chat. I used to have it on my old computer. I used to have it bookmarked, but I honestly haven't really used it often.
Slap that sucker in there.
Yep.
But I think when it comes to the comping and everything, again, it just, I don't know, it's not as easy. I mean, it's easy to comp a card, right? But the truth of the matter is, it really benefits the buyer more than it benefits the seller. Because you as the seller, you get bundled in if a few other people didn't know what they had.
Yeah.
Right. Like I almost made a big mistake. I had one of those. It was from Donruss. It was a Joe Burrow rookie wave.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't paying attention. And I had the card and I was like, oh wow, this is a pretty cool card. And I don't know why. I don't know how I missed it. I don't know why I missed it. But I listed the card, and when I did a comp on it, everybody was right around, like $25 or so.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, you know what? I don't want to be the high. I don't want to be the low. I'll go right in the middle, So I went like right around, $25. And all of a sudden, Sushi Boy, what's happening, buddy?
What's up, Sushi Boy?
All of a sudden, I get a guy who is, making me offer after offer, like boom, 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 trying to get it for like 15. Then he went 16, 17, 18. And I'm thinking, there are other guys who have this card listed for $20.
Yeah.
Why is he trying to get by and everything? So I went and I brought it up on the screen and I'm looking at it. And I go, you know what? And I have a screen. So I bring up another browser and I bring up one of the other cards and I'm looking at mine on this screen. I'm looking at the other on this screen. And I'm going, what the hell is going on? And then it smacked me in the face out of the middle of freaking nowhere. And just so I said, this guy was so stupid. Mine's the Ruby Parallel.
Mm-hmm.
That normally sells for probably around 75 to 100. Where if this idiot just would have went ahead and said, oh, $25, this guy has no idea what he's doing. He would have bought it for $25. I would have put it in the mail. He would have went ahead and got it. But he tried to go ahead and nickel and dime that. It made me look. And I went, oh, crap. Bam. No reply. End listing, please. Get that sucker unlisted beforehand.
He probably saw it relisted at like triple the price. It was like, damn.
I should have. I've almost felt like sending the guy a note and say, "Hey, thank you very much for trying to nickel and dime me on this card because you just went ahead and made me like $75 more. Thank you very much. Appreciate it." Wow. So what would have happened is if that guy would have bought it And then the next person would have went ahead and been like, "Hey, man, what are you trying? You know, let's say they see it at a show, and somebody just has it
Yeah.
in a top loader in their case, and they go, hey, man, look, somebody went ahead and bought that for $25 2 weeks ago."
Yep.
And the guy behind the desk would have been like, "Well, look, the idiot that sold that obviously didn't know what he had."
Very true. It's a good thing in this case there was a bigger idiot sending him a ton of offers.
Right. You know. So if you see something and it doesn't look right, people, and you research it and you go, man, that person doesn't know exactly what they have, buy it. You know, spend $5, $6 more, buy it, and you'll still wind up making out with it.
For sure.
You know, and that's where but again, and that's another thing I said, you know, that's what hurts comps from that standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
Auctions are the worst one. Like to me, if you're doing an auction, like, no, I understand the buyer's going to do what a buyer's going to do, you know, but you can't use auctions, you know, as a comp, because we all know how that works. You have to have two people who truly fall in love with the item that you have.
Yep. And the problem with auctions too is, like, it's the best way to, like, actually move the inventory, but it's the worst way to actually get what the inventory's worth, unless it's, like you said, something that people are going to fight over. You know,
Right.
so, like, if you have, like, a truly rare, like, one of one that, like, you know, unless, like, you actually do bid up for it, you're not going to ever own it, because that other buyer is going to, like, literally get it and hoard it and basically Nat Turner it and take it off the market forever.
Yep.
You know, like, that's the best time to do an auction. But other than that, if you're dealing with, you know, like the LaMelo Ball base cards of the world, or, you know, like, you know, insert any other young hot superstar that there's a gajillion cards of because Panini doesn't care.
Right.
You know, it's going to be really hard to make a decent amount of money going, you know, at 99-cent auction.
Yeah, that's the type of stuff that happens. You get guys, you know, who don't know the sport, aren't 100% sure, they don't know what they have, you know, and they just try and sell. Well, congratulations, Dom. Finally, you won the Charlie Ward auction. Way to go, man.
Nice.
At one time, the best quarterback in the New York City area, even though he played basketball. That's how bad the Jets and the Giants quarterbacks were. The best quarterback was playing point guard for the New York Knicks.
Makes sense. They pay more in basketball.
Well, probably less chance of getting hit or squashed by some 300-pound dude.
True. Very true.
You know. But it's going to be interesting. You know, the comping, you know, it's going to be, I'm looking forward, you know, in 2 weeks, you know, I'll be at the National and stuff. I'm really interested in seeing how the pricing is there. Because you remember when we went and stuff. And I remember stories of people going, oh, man, are you kidding me? Oh, on Sunday, it closes at 5 o'clock. Start walking around at 4 o'clock. The guys with all the wax, they don't want to go ahead and box it up. They'll start selling it for cheap, just enough to box it up. Yeah, well, maybe that was pre-2020, because in 2021, that crap didn't happen tonight.
Yeah. I mean, some dealers will give you a little bit of a deal towards the end, but yeah, I mean, for the most part, it's not as prevalent as it once was.
No, it's not.
Especially because they can basically, now it's going to be a lot harder with what Fanatics is doing with breaks. But I was going to say, for the most part, they could just take it home and just run breaks and probably make more than they would make just selling the box outright.
I think that's what I think that's what a lot we're trying to do and stuff.
For sure.
We are doing good. Yes,
sir. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it.
Episode number 30, man.
It's wild.
Very cool. Almost 7.5 months.
Yeah.
Not so, not so. But I think, like you're saying, as we go through, and comps is going to be interesting to see what happens. If another market, I mean, it's like it would be cool to have another marketplace. 30 episodes, man. Yep, Dami. 30, brother. And you've been a part of all of them. Thank you very much for your
Yeah.
support.
Definitely appreciate it.
It's gonna be interesting if another marketplace can somehow gain some kind of ground.
It's
It's
going to
like
be interesting to see what Fanatics Live does. Like, I think if any of them have an opportunity, it'll probably be them, just because they're going to have a stranglehold on the allocation. So
true.
I think they're going to really make it a lot harder for the other platforms to really thrive when it comes to breaking and dealing with wax.
Yeah, I mean it's but I guess like I wonder how are they going to try and police certain things, right? Like for instance, Steel City, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or blowout cards. Um, if they are gonna, even if they limit them, what stops that? So a guy who's doing breaking, who now all of a sudden gets his allocation cut off and he has to go buy, but he still wants to do breaks. So then he goes to Steel City and he tries to work out a deal there, and they make a little money, and maybe the price of his breaks has to go up some.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, like I don't know how they can control, or how they're going to try and get so much of a grip on it, because you can't stop. If you sell to something like blowout cards or like Steel City, you can't stop them from selling the product to a guy, to a
Yeah.
guy who goes to blowoutcards.com and says, "Ooh, a case of Prism football. I'll buy that and I'll do a break with it."
Mm-hmm. Unless they limit how much you can actually buy at one time, maybe it's like one or two boxes or XYZ. Like, maybe they start limiting like the big distributors like the Steel Cities and the DA Card Worlds to like only be able to sell one person so much inventory. But then again, people will find bots. Like, there's
Yep.
definitely ways around it. Like, just like you've seen, like with when retail buying was really, really hot, all the people that had the bots that would go and buy up all the Prism or whatever the hot set was as soon as it dropped.
Yeah.
I'm sure that they'd figure something like that out. I think what probably will be, I would imagine the people that have been breaking through Fanatics will probably get better pricing than, like, say, like you would going through like a Steel City on the secondary market, which would probably make the breaks via their platform cheaper overall. So outside of, like, say, people like actually really liking Huddle Card or really liking Picksburgh and like wanting to break with one of us, it'd probably be more beneficial just to go save a few bucks and go through like the actual Fanatics Live, I would imagine. For most people, like if you're not actually trying to support a specific breaker. So I know there's going to be a lot of people that maybe don't get into like the, preferred breakers club with Fanatics, you know what I mean,
Right.
that have really good followings, you know what I mean? They just might not make the cut of who Fanatics is looking to work with initially. So I'm sure those people will still be able to sell breaks and will still do well. It's just like guys like you and me that don't really have, you know what I mean, like the following of people looking to do that all the time,
Yep.
that are going to really struggle, in my opinion.
Thank you, Dami. Much appreciated. Yep. And Adrian and Fuego
Yep.
do a great job. Adrian, I know we still got to figure out a way to go ahead and get you on the show, because I know Anthony and I want to pick your brain about the podcast aspect of your guys' show. But it's going to be interesting. It's like, we talked about it last week, and actually, I mean, we've talked about it a bunch. I am concerned. What happens when they have everything?
Yeah.
when they have all the licensing for all the big, for the big three sports, and whatever else they get. If they get soccer, if they get, if they get wrestling, if they get MMA, if they get all their stuff and everything, I mean, then if they come up with their own market, if they figure out a way to make PWCC work better, right? I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's scary what you think of what they could do. There's a
Yeah.
whole segment of the hobby that in reality they could crush.
Yeah.
Because
And they probably will. Like, to be
yeah.
honest, if there's money out there that they can acquire by taking it over, they're going to. Like,
Yeah.
like I just feel like it's gonna be dog eat dog eventually, And if you're not like on board with them, they're gonna crush you. That's what sucks.
I didn't know that they got wrestling back.
Yeah, I believe they did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Pretty sure.
So I'm gonna have to take a couple of my Prism WWE boxes and just put them on the side. Not that they'll be worth anything, but just as nostalgia someday.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the initial set could be worth something.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think that whole, like, again, we spoke about it. The Fanatics thing. Who are they going to make a deal with when it comes to grading? Which I guess basically, have they already done that type of stuff? Being that they own Tops, have they really already done a lot of that type of thing with SGC?
It's very possible. I mean,
Like, I wonder in a couple of years they come out with a basketball. Like, you gotta figure when Fanatics, Tops, whatever company it is, when they release football and they release basketball, you gotta believe that they're going to look to do some kind of deal with SGC. I mean, if they did it with Series 1, Series 2, and Bowman, why wouldn't they do it, right? So you would think they go ahead and all of a sudden now they're producing, Tops football, Tops basketball. I could see them doing, hey, guess what, guys? Series 1 in basketball, $9 a card with SGC.
Yeah. And it would make sense for them to go with a company like SGC too, because I feel like PSA already has so much going for them. They already own so many companies and stuff like that. They're pretty secure in the hobby. Mm-hmm. So Fanatics is really looking to come in there and challenge like the entire basically stance of the hobby. I mean, who better than the second basically best company to come alongside of, so yeah. I think right now, like as far as like hype and everything like that, SGC is doing a lot better off than a lot of the other companies.
Oh yeah, they're getting a lot of business. They got a bunch of business with the Top Series 1, Series 2 and Bowman stuff. They got a good amount of business with that. And then recently they just did football cards. I don't know if their special still going on, but I think they were doing any football card $15, no upcharge on value.
Yeah. And it's nice that they don't have any upcharges, like, because that's one thing that I dislike about PSA is the upcharges. Granted, I don't really deal with the cards that are really going to be upcharged very much.
True.
Like, I'm more of like the low to mid end, like collector / reseller of cards. So I don't deal with the upcharges too much, but like I do submit a lot for Marty, who does have a lot of the more higher end cards, and that's definitely a very real concern for him on a regular basis.
PWCC is terrible for selling low end or slow moving cards. Huh? Didn't realize that.
Yeah, I really don't really use PWCC, to be honest. Once I heard about the show bidding, I was just like not real interested in putting any of my money towards like any of their auctions or whatever. Not that I like have any like tangible proof that they show bid. I just know that eBay kicked them off for show bidding. So because of that, like it's really hard for me to like want to put like hard-earned money into something that like even if I'm paying an extra $5 or $10 more than I should be, it's like I'd rather just go to eBay and just get it well under comps like we've been talking about for the most part. So
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just been hard for me to go somewhere that there could be potential show bidding. And not saying that there's not on eBay, because I know there are, but for the type of cards I deal with, like, show bidding doesn't really become that big of a thing.
Mm-hmm. And I tell you, like, there's another one, like ComC. They're another one that surprises me that they sell as much on eBay as they do when they don't use standard envelope.
Yeah.
You know, they charge $4.99 or something like that, or $5.99, you know, for shipping on their cards.
That sucks, Dom. He said he got sunk a few times from them with the show bidding.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense though. Like not saying that this is like on the same par, but like I've even seen like via like the Golden show that's on Netflix, like when there's an auction going off, they'll be like texting people like, "Hey man, you gonna get in on this action?" Like so the auction houses are doing everything they can to like legally push as much action as possible. You know, even going as far as to send like text message alerts or whatever to like people that they know might be interested in certain items. Yeah, I mean, even beyond that, like with PWCC actually going in there and bumping the auctions up themselves, trying to get a little bit more premium.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, and you know, so like, you know, that's why, like with us, you know, because I'm in the car auction business, you know, when we do, you know, our stuff on simulcast, you know, what we have is we actually have a one of our monitors that shows how many bidders there are on the internet, and if one of them bids, their name shows and it turns, you know, green and stuff. Again, that doesn't mean that, you know, somebody somewhere, you know, might not be doing something the wrong thing, but at least you're trying to be as transparent as possible of saying, hey, there are people online, you know, that are trying to bid also. It's not, you know, when you're doing, you know, a blind auction, basically, as, you know, as we are, you know, on eBay and stuff like that, or PWCC or any auction site, you don't know. You know, you don't know about the transaction. Does the transaction go through? You know, if you're trying to do certain things and stuff, you know. I mean, there was always talk about that same type of thing, you know, when other products on eBay that, you know, people will, you know, put a product, they'll list it super duper high, you know, have somebody from, you know, a friend or somebody, you know, log on as a guest or something to do buy it now and buy it, but don't pay. And those people who get those people, you know, you don't care. Hey, I don't buy on eBay. But if you're not paying attention, it looks like that item was sold.
Yeah.
You know, even though it wasn't sold. And then you see it all of a sudden relisted, you know, for 50% of what that was. And you go, oh my gosh, that's a deal, even though it's still way too much money for it.
Yep.
You know, and I think that's something you have to, you know, we have to watch out for with cards also. You know, some of these, there's so many, you know, so many people out there that are shopping on eBay for cards. You could see how, you know, that stuff can go ahead and happen more and more, especially if someone is not getting what they think they should get. They have to revert to something else because, you know, if you get a bid, you don't want to, you know, if you're, you know, if you have a decent size, eBay store, you know, and you have a good rating and stuff, but if you mess up and somebody, you know, bids on something and you think it should go for, you know, $75 and it's stuck at $35, you can't cancel and you can't shut that down, or else you're going to get a ding on your account. And that could be worse, you know.
Yeah.
So it's tough, you know. But again, you know, everybody looks at eBay, and it's a double-edged sword. You know, and it's funny. It's not like there's anything we could do about it. You know, I mean, you know, maybe you and I can create a website with pricing, but where the hell are we going to get it? I'm going to look on eBay and see what they sell for.
Exactly. That's exactly where we're going to look. That's the sad part.
right?
And even all the pricing tools that are out there are basically just sourcing their information from eBay anyway.
Right. There may be some products you can use Amazon and eBay for. Like we said, there are some other websites you can use,
Yeah.
Walmart.com or so on and on like that. But not when you're talking about, a rookie auto, or
Yeah.
a rookie patch auto, an RPA, and not when you're looking at that type of stuff. You're not going to Amazon and go, oh, hey, Najee Harris, 2022 patch auto. What's that going for? And you don't go to Amazon for that.
Correct.
You go to eBay.
Mm-hmm.
So as much as as much as we complain and this, that, and the other thing, unfortunately, it's all you got right now until another marketplace pops up.
I'm actually really curious to see what eBay is like really going to do as far as their live feature. Just because like with as many listings as I already have, it would be way more attractive for me to do like the whatnot type thing on eBay, just because I don't have to relist all the stuff. You know what I mean? Like it just seems like they're not really interested in adding people on unless like you have like a huge following to be like a eBay live seller, in my opinion.
Well, that's just it. And and the funny thing is I have to believe that the following aspect on eBay really has never really been that big.
Mm-hmm.
When you think about whatnot, stuff like that, right? You follow you so and so, and you see people with 30,000 followers, 20,000 followers, stuff like that. Like I just don't know if if you were to go on eBay and you were to look at one of the big breakers or something, you know what I'm saying? On eBay, are you going ahead and having a lot of followers? Oh, bummer, Braylon, but hey, I'm glad you're back, sir.
What do we feel about eBay's promoted listings? It's basically pay to play. I promote almost all of my listings just because I have such common stuff most of the time. Like I do have some like unique stuff, but even like that unique stuff, I'm asking like a decent amount for because I don't want to just like it's PC. If somebody doesn't give me what I want, it's going to be a PC card. But for the most part, most of the stuff I transact is such common stuff that I'm willing to pay a little bit extra to jump mine above like someone else's just so I can get the sale first. But it does suck that it's become such a pay to play type atmosphere. Like Michael was saying, he doesn't even try to be the best price. Like he tries to just be somewhere in the middle because especially if you are paying to play, they're going to bury the best price beneath you anyway.
Right. Yeah, I'm the same way. I do promote now. I don't. I think I'm gonna, probably. I don't know if I'm gonna get a chance to do it. I really want to. I have to really look at the numbers more and get a better idea. So I'm probably gonna use August as, let's say, like my test month, looking at numbers as I'm promoting, because I promote everything at like 5%. I go just flat 5%. There are a lot of people who do trending and stuff like that, and or what the suggested one is, and so on and so forth. And I don't know. To me, there's not a right answer. There's not a wrong answer. There's not a right number. There's not a wrong number. Like I don't know if there are some people who go, well, I just do 1.5% because at least then it shows that I'm promoting something and that'll move me up. I don't know. I don't know, how that truly works. If you and I have the exact same item, and you promote at 9% and I promote at 5%, then does yours get higher up in the search than mine?
It should theoretically. Like I believe that's the algorithm it's designed for, is the higher you promote, the higher you go up in search, like regardless of the other parameters. So like even if the person's sorting it by like cost and stuff like that, they're still going to try to get your stuff promoted above it.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, unfortunately, Big John, I mean, yeah, I think it's becoming one of those necessary evils.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things, like, whereas if you want to be able to transact that stuff, like it. So I was looking at the difference between a month of having like basically everything promoted and everything not. It was hundreds of thousands of more like views on my listings when I just promoted it at like the 5% or whatever the suggested amount was. Like it was such a incredible like difference of like people actually finding my store and like actually transacting, that I just kept promoting after that, because like just the fact that there was hundreds of thousands of people that like were now looking at my listings that wouldn't have before, made it worth it to me.
Yeah,
But they
I
actually,
agree.
if you go into your analytics on your eBay, it'll actually show you like all of that stuff, like the new people that come in from your promotions and all that stuff. So that's the main reason I've continued to do it. Because like I said, I'm not selling anything that's like super fantastic. I'm selling stuff that people had in their dollar boxes for the most part.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, again, like I said, it's a necessary evil. Now, there are people who say, "Hey, I don't promote, and my sales are fine." So, I don't know. I mean, ultimately, it boils. Look, the truth of the matter is, number one, at the end of the day, it still boils down to what you have and what your pricing is, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
me as a consumer, if I see that you have this card for $5 and you're a promoted listing, but somebody else has it for $4 and they're not a promoted listing, well, I'm paying $4. I'm not paying $5.
Mm-hmm.
It gives I think maybe sometimes where it's like, I think that's promoted to me. And again, I do it anyway. I'm not going to not do it. I think where you really see a difference in it helping you is in more of a market where pricing is not as volatile, where everybody is really in that area, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
For sure. I think that's why it's worked so well with the cheap cards I use, is because like
Oh,
a dollar card's going to be a dollar card regardless of
yeah.
like how bad the market is. Like if it fluctuates, it's going to be cents as opposed to like many dollars, like most cards. Um, yeah, that right there, Big John, would make me like really hesitate
Yeah.
promoting. Like if I wasn't seeing like a pretty tangible difference. Now, I'd be curious to know if like you were promoting at like a lower percentage and then you upped it and didn't notice a difference, or were you just not promoting like ever and then started and didn't notice a difference? Because like Michael was saying, like, is there really much difference between 1.5% or like 5% or 9% outside of just jumping you ahead of the guy that has the next lowest amount? So I'd be really curious to find out, kind of more in depth how that works. But yeah, like I said, I noticed a pretty tangible difference in mine, but that went from not promoting at all to like promoting the recommended amount that they ask for on each one.
Well, that, and then you're also probably becoming more consistent in listing.
Well, that too, yeah. I
And
mean,
that's another little piece of the whole, you know, the whole, the shell game, right? It's moving everything around, trying to find the P underneath the shell. It's all that part also. It's just when you think the algorithm and stuff like that, right?
yep,
And then you find out, oh, but if you list, you know, so and so, how, if you list every day, if you list this, if you list that, and so on and so forth, you know. But so Big John said the latter,
mm,
you know,
interesting.
and I think I was what I was thinking about, then you're like, again, listing to get more views, and then it's like, okay, how many do you have to list? Like, is there a magic number per se? Is there a floor level when it comes to, hey, if you're listing every day, it should be this number. It should be 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, and I don't know. I mean, because when you think about it, if you have unlike in my humble opinion, unlike in other categories, you could really blow through listing a bunch of cards in a short period of time. And I think that's either with the scanner or without a scanner. Because of course they sell ladders on eBay, Dom. You'd be surprised
Yeah,
what you can
you
find.
can even buy houses and vehicles and stuff on there nowadays.
Dom, hey Dom, you could buy a bridge. But somebody was talking about they were saying about about listing all the time on eBay, and I was like, well, cards are very, very interesting, because when you look at the sell-through rate of cards, you literally can go ahead and get to a point to where you can't list as many cards per month as you would like to, because of the sell rate being so low, but you've gone ahead and you've listed so many.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, like if you have the $22 a month store, if you pay it all off at the beginning of the year, if you agree for a year, right, you pay $22, and I think you get 10,000 in that special category, right? And cards is one of the special categories. But you got to think, if you sell 10,000, if it's 10,000, and I heard that like the sell-through rate when I was talking to somebody is about 5%. If your sell-through rate is about 5%, think about it. Once you get towards that 10,000 cards, you really need to hope that your sell-through rate speeds up.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because you're only talking, because you have automatic renew, right? So every time 30 days comes up, that one comes off the ticker. So if you're 10,000 cards, and you have your sell-through rate. So what is that? 500 cards, right? Yeah. That means in reality, you could only list 500 cards a month.
Yeah, no, I know eBay will oftentimes, like for this specific problem, sometimes they'll give bonus listings like above like what you're actually allowed to, specifically just on like cards and like these type of collectibles, just for that specific reason.
Right.
But they don't always offer that every month, which is it's problematic if you are somebody that does have a store with multiple thousand listings. One thing I always suggest is, if you're able to, like if you're good enough about storing like your cards, like I do mine alphabetically. And like if I have enough of like a player, like I'll put a tab just for that player. So like once it gets to a point where I start going through and it's like, okay, I think Jared Stidham's had his day, I might go through and start delisting like all of the Jared Stidhams, or like, whomever like busted that's like trash. And then I'll just put them aside for like my, 25-cent dollar box or whatever, going into like the next card show. So that's one way that like I've found to kind of keep my eBay inventory a little cleaner. Because I mean, even now I still have a ton of like Malik Willis and like guys that like, could see some kind of resurgence, barring some kind of an injury or something like that. But for the most part, if keeping your number of listings below a certain amount so you're not upcharged is a thing, I say just go through. If you're good about organizing them, you can just go through to like W's and be, okay, there go all the Malik Willises, or here come all the Jared Stidhams. You know what I mean? That you can easily get to those players that aren't likely to sell on eBay. You know what I mean? And then you can then replace them with stuff that's better. And then you could then blow out, or even if you don't want to go the route of blowing them out at a card show, then make all of those Jared Stidhams into one lot for like
Well, that's
substantially
true.
less than what you were asking for. Maybe $1 each Stidham. Now you're relisting it as one lot. Maybe you're asking 50 cents each or something like that, to where somebody that actually likes Jared Stidham's like, oh, that's not a bad deal. I can get like 12 of his cards for, whatever. So those are some things I've been trying a little bit on my store. More or less, I've just been pulling them for card shows just because I haven't been buying as much outside of bargain boxes like to replenish my eBay store. So I've been trying to do as much as I can to like build my own bargain boxes for shows, but not like diminish my store to where it's like not worth shopping at, because I try to make sure like if there's a hot player, I'm basically sourcing that player and his cards for my store to like kind of drive more people to it. So that way it'll help move like the more mediocre stuff too. Because if you're already coming to buy an Ellie De La Cruz, why not look and pick up, a few other cards that you might PC, even though Ellie's the real reason you came and found my store. You know what I mean? So those are some of the things I kind of try to do to keep things a little bit more fresh.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I mean, when you look at it from that, standpoint, I mean, it does give people an advantage. I think grouping, I think lotting, you going alphabetical and then being able to sell lots of players that aren't moving will definitely go ahead and help you, because you literally, like you said, if you have 10 Malik Willises, you could put all 10 of them, make one listing, and you've just freed up 9 listings, from your store.
Yep.
So, but I think it's, I think it's interesting there. What type of discount are you giving for Ground Advantage? Any?
Off the top of my head, I'm not sure, unless you are, Michael. I mean, I know most of the stuff I send out, since I deal in a lot of cheaper cards, I use the simple envelope, which like at 3 ounce is only $1.11.
Yeah.
So typically I charge $1.11 shipping on most of my listings. Now, if it's a slab or something more expensive, I haven't really looked into most of those changes either, but I calculate my shipping. So regardless of like where the person is, it'll automatically give the most up-to-date shipping rates based on their geographic location.
Yeah. So what I have seen is that for cards that were, let's say, or anything that was formerly first class, which is now Ground Advantage, what I have seen is again the less than 16-ounce ones, those they're about the same. There's really not that big of a deal. If you were paying, if it was like 12 ounces and it was going to California, it was $4.88 first class. It's $4.88, Ground Advantage. Now, now, what I have seen personally is that anything just barely over a pound is cheaper than going and a little bit more. It's cheaper than priority. Now, again, it's not necessarily as fast as priority. It may take a day. It may take a day or two longer to get there. But like I was sending out some packages, and I was doing it myself through Pirate Ship, and it was like a 2-pound, 14-ounce package, and priority would have been, I don't know, like $9, $10 and stuff. But Ground Advantage, it was, like $6.50 or $7. And the cut, it wasn't anything that I sold on eBay that my customer went ahead and picked, priority, right? This was stuff where I was choosing how to go ahead and ship it.
Yeah.
So from that advantage. Put lots on Macari, huh? Probably
I
something.
haven't used Macari in a while.
Yeah.
That would be something worth trying because I definitely have a lot of. I'm getting to the point now, especially with football. My football box is so full. Like I have a 3-row that I keep each sport in, and I've purposely not been listing any football for like the better part of the last month or so because my box is that full. So it's getting to the point now where like rather than starting a new 3-row, it's easier for me just to pull stuff out and make room for better inventory. So maybe I'll start making a few lots for Macari.
Yeah.
I haven't actually listed over there in forever.
Yes, done. There are a lot of ladders on eBay. It does make the price easier. So you're saying that it was about $1.50 more. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. I have not noticed that. Like I said, some of the things that I was selling on eBay, that was first class shipping. That was not, a card or anything. Even something that was, $9.99 with first class shipping and stuff. I did not notice on eBay, that, again, I'm not saying it didn't go up, but it would, like I said, nothing stood out as though it was so much higher. Like, oh my gosh, I used to pay $4 to ship this. Now I'm paying, $5.50. I didn't notice anything like that. But as Anthony has said, on a lot of my product, I charge shipping. I don't do free shipping. I was going to try and experiment with some of the, like bulk cards, like the bulk base and stuff like that you try and get rid of
Yeah.
on eBay and do like, like $1.75, free shipping to see if something like that might, change something. A little bit of a boost, a little bit, a little bit more to go, a little bit better, action, sell through rate and stuff like that.
I'm sure there's definitely people out there that try to sort by, free shipping too. So I'm sure you'd probably get like a whole group of new people finding you. But I mean, who knows how big that group is for specifically cards.
Yeah. And, I've said it a lot of times that I could not understand going ahead and doing, I want to buy something. Let me sort by free shipping because I don't want to pay for shipping because you really think shipping is free.
Yeah. I mean, what I'll typically do if I'm looking for a specific card, I'll sort by cheapest, like with like cost and shipping.
Heck yeah.
It like combines it to
Yep.
where like I would rather buy it, from you for $11.99, with $1 shipping than off of somebody else for $13 free shipping.
Yeah.
Still saving a penny.
Yep. Yeah. I don't, I don't understand that part. That's one of those ones that surprises me. But then again, like I said, there's there's only so much we can, you can do because you're trying to drive the traffic. And right now, you got to go with what you got to go with. Whether, and that's where we have to put our efforts, is to put your money into, right? If that's what you're going to do. And,
Yep.
if you're going to sell, again, I mean, you don't know. And, it's like when we talked about at the beginning, when you're looking at what things are selling for, you don't know what the seller's motivation is, and it's tough. They may just be saying, you know what, I don't want this in my house anymore. And I'm not going to, and I don't, for whatever reason, I don't know why they want to individually, list cards or stuff like that, but they've decided that, I want some of this stuff out of the house. I don't want it anymore. So they take it and they just price it to go ahead and sell.
Yeah.
They want the fast nickel rather than the slow dime.
Yeah.
And again, where that hurts is, it hurts that mid value or that lower valuable card, that $100 card that now, somebody sold it for 90, then somebody sold it for 85, then somebody sold it for 75. And then you go, well, hey, last comp is 75. And it's like, yeah, but that's an outlier, man. All the others
Yeah.
are like $90. Yeah, but it doesn't make a difference because the last one sold for 75. Look, there it is on my phone. Yes, but on my phone, look, the last 4 before that sold for $90. Yeah, but I don't really care. I'll give you 75. And then at that point, what do you have the seller have to do? You got to decide.
Yeah, you're either going to hold it or you're going to sell it for the last comp.
Is that $15 worth it? If you paid $50 for the card, it might be.
Yeah.
If you pulled that card out of a mega box raw, and then had it graded yourself, and and the grading wasn't that bad, you might be like, you know what? I don't give a crap. At 50, I double my money. Hell, at 75, I'm doing really, really good.
Yep.
Let me get out. Let me get out of it because it doesn't pay for me to go ahead and keep it.
Yep.
You think about it, right? Most of the time, people either price things to sell or they price things to keep.
Yep. Very true.
Right?
And I think we're all guilty of pricing things to keep. Like, because I have several cards right now I can point to, like, in my eBay store. Like, my Ray Liotta autograph is priced to keep. I don't want anybody to buy that off of me. But if somebody gives me what I'm asking for it, I'll sell it. You know
exactly.
what I mean? Like, that's a card I don't necessarily want to move.
Right.
Again,
if
I get my
asking for the right price, you're willing to.
Correct.
Everybody has a price for the $1 Million Man.
That is true. What will become of the porch pirates when UPS goes on strike? I don't know. I mean, I think as long as there's like something valuable for somebody to steal, they're going to always find a way to try to do it. But hopefully, like, the emergence of the Ring doorbell and like other stuff like that will, be enough of a deterrent to really stop that. But yeah, I don't know. Porch pirates suck.
Yeah. I don't know. That's the first I heard about that. Look, I'll tell you right now, one thing you people don't have to worry about, even with the writer's strike, even if the actors go on strike, this show is going to go on. There will be no striking here. The only thing we will strike here is deals.
That is true.
That's right.
Yep. I totally understand that. I'm in sell mode myself. I actually need to get into list mode. I haven't listed like very much the last couple of weeks, so my store is like, help me. It's like, help me, help you.
Yeah, I brought a whole bunch of cards to sort and get ready for when I go back this way because I'll be home Friday. And then Tuesday, Mike and I will leave to start our journey to Chicago for the Nationals. So I'm because I drove to where I am, I was able to throw some boxes in the trunk of the car to at least just sort. Because like what I have done, even though I use the scanner, I haven't signed up for the card any of the software yet. And my reason being is that, June, July, August, September, this 4-month period, I'm on the road a lot. Mm-hmm. And because of trying to scan, I'm trying to sort the cards and get them in some kind of an order so that this way, they are kind of grouped together. So if I want to do a batch of baseball, if I want, as I move forward, I knew that I would not be using all of my scans. And if I'm going to pay for 5,000 scans for a month, right? But because I'm traveling and all the other kind of crap, and with all the other stuff I have to do when I'm not on the road, now I get home, so I catch up on everything. If I'm only going to use 3,000, 3,500, well, shit, I don't want to give them 1,500 to 2,000, money for scans that I'm not using. You don't.
I don't blame you.
It scans every month. So once I slow down, I will. So to help me list, what I do is I basically, and I've been doing it. I've been just doing mostly the newer stuff that I'm opening, that I'm throwing up on eBay quickly as I open it. I take that blaster box or that mega box, or a couple of blasters, and by sport. And then what I do is I put the cards in number order.
Okay.
And then I take card number 1. So and I will scan them. So I'll have 3 screens opened up on my monitor. On my screen to my left will be the pictures of the scans of my cards. On my middle one will be my eBay. And then on the one on to the right, what I do is I bring up, because I can't spell and pecking takes a long time. What I do is I bring up Cardboard Connection. I go to that product that I'm selling. So if I'm going to do 23 Donruss football, I go bring up the Donruss 23 football. And the reason why I put the cards in number order is the list is in number order. My listings all pretty much go the same. It'll be like so I'll do 2023 Donruss. I'll say football, right? Because Donruss has multiple stuff. If it's Prism or Select, I usually won't say Panini, right? But I'll say Select football, Select basketball. And then if it's just a base card with no set attributes, it's the number, the player's name, and then the team. Well, when you look on Cardboard Connection, for the most part, you have all that information on their listing of the cards. So I just copy that, paste it into my listing, and then eBay item specifics goes, oh, that's Najee Harris. That's Pittsburgh Steelers, and it already has it in there. Just hit the button, update whatever item specifics. Then I copy that, I put that into my description, and I have my little other verbiage. And the first one I save. And I go to my drafts, and then because I put the set and all the other kind of stuff is already on my item specifics are in there, then I do create a copy, and I'll create 50 copies. And then all I'm changing is the card number and the player name and team.
That makes sense.
And using Cardboard Connection of cut and paste. So I drag and drop from this side the pictures. I cut and paste from this side. And I hit list, and I can get a lot of cards, done that way. Now, yes, it does take me a little more time to sort, but, getting them listed is the big part. If I try to do a hodgepodge, okay, pick up this one card. All right. I would still probably, and the only reason why, and, because, and then, when you scan the cards, they go in the order of you scanned them. So you take that stack, and the stack is right in front of you. So the card matches what you're looking at. So you make sure you're looking at the right card. But I do that kind of stuff. And that seems to help me, get through a lot of listings. I'm able to blow through listings pretty quick.
Yeah, it's good for typos too, to make sure you're not because that's one thing that'll kill your listing actually getting out to people is typos. There's another website I'm probably gonna have to Google to remember unless you know what it is off the top of your head, but there's actually a website you can go to. It has something to do with fat fingers or something like that, but you can actually go and say you're looking for Zion Williamson. Literally, you type in Zion Williamson, it'll look for every variation of the way that is spelled to try to find listings that have been buried based on misspellings and stuff like that. So that's another good resource if you're looking to find stuff like under comps.
Fatfingers.com.
Fatfingers.com. Okay, cool. I knew it was Fat Fingers.
Yeah, I'll use that. Yeah, I'll use that if a player has like, um, like an interesting spelling last name.
Yeah, that would probably be a really good one for Webinyama.
Exactly. Yeah, because you'd be surprised how many people will spell it wrong.
Or like
Or
Antetokounmpo.
yeah, yep, that one. But Zion also, because
Mhm.
people, there's some will put Zion Williams in. They'll put an N rather than an M. Another one is like somebody's name is Victor. Some people spell it with a C. Some people spell it with a K.
True.
And the thing is that it might not be. And what I have noticed when I use it, the price of the card won't necessarily uh, be drastically off, from the other ones, people that spell it correct. It's just that if they have best offer, you can make an offer, and a lot of times they'll take it because the card has been sitting for so long because nobody can find it because they spelt it wrong.
Mm-hmm. Very
So
true.
that's one of those things that that I really use it for. Like you're not gonna have a player X rookie card that sells for $100. They're not gonna have it, for 50 just because they spelt the name wrong. They probably will have it for 100, but being that it's not selling, they don't understand why it's selling. You could probably go in, and offer 75. They may counter at 90, you counter at 80, and they go, yeah, the hell with it. And you can get a
Yeah.
deal that way.
Yeah, the only way you're going to really find like the stellar deals with that is if you're lucky enough to get it at auction, whereas like
True.
a lot of times it doesn't last long enough to even like get found in Google. So finding it through Fat Fingers is sometimes more difficult. Because doesn't it need to be like 30 days before Google really starts picking up your listings as far as like their search algorithms and stuff like that?
Mm-hmm.
So I would imagine with that being the case, it's probably a lot harder for something like that to like be accurate as far as finding the auctions in a decent enough manner for you to really take advantage of it. But another thing you could always do to find those auctions is it'll at least point out different ways people are like, say, for example, spelling Webinyama, or if they're doing the Victor with a K instead of a C, like
Right.
those type of things. And then you could then plug that directly into eBay and filter by ending soonest, and that'll be the best way to find those type of deals, in my opinion.
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely. And, again, you won't necessarily go. An auction is definitely the best way you're going to get a deal. But to buy it now, is at least it gives you the opportunity to make an offer, a little deeper offer than what you might make for somebody spelling the name correctly.
Yeah.
If somebody spelled the name correctly and they're in that comp area and they're using eBay for comps, they're going to be like, yeah, no, I'm not going to take 75. Maybe I'll take, 90. Whereas someone who spells the name wrong and has had that card relist, 2 or 3 times,
Mm-hmm.
and then, they've had it for 30 days, 60 days in their store, then now they're at the point where I just want to sell the damn thing.
Yeah.
And if somebody's going to offer me, $80 for it, if I can get, a few more dollars out of them, if I can, go to 85, I'll take the 85 and get out of it.
Yep.
From that standpoint. But, like I was saying, it's really, it's interesting. The whole thing, the selling on eBay. And again, it's like we even talking about, I was in a Discord and the guy's like, man, those freaking damn eBay fees. They're so crazy. So I asked, I was like, what is the fee? And the guy's like, I sold a card and eBay took 13.7%. And my reply was 13.7% to get potentially thousands of people to look at your card really isn't a bad deal.
True. Especially when you look at some of the other platforms that have a smaller percentage that they're actually charging you. The liquidity with these other platforms are nowhere near what eBay is. And even if they are like, say, like a Whatnot where you can do really well, you have to have a following to like really be able to do well. You know what I mean? Like, whereas like eBay, somebody, like us, like just regular people that don't have huge followings, like we
Yep.
can list stuff, and as long as it's a decent like amount, and as long as we pay our little 5% or whatever it is in promotion fees, like our cards are going to sell just as easily as the next guys, you know what I mean? And for me personally, I prefer eBay selling just because I don't like I have a YouTube channel. I like going live and I like doing this type of thing. But whenever it comes to like live selling, like I don't know what it is, but it just feels like added pressure to me. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like now all of a sudden, like I feel like I have to act fake for somebody to buy a card or XYZ. You know what I mean? Like if I'm gonna go live, I'd rather just come on, shoot the breeze, kind of
Yep.
like we do here. So like for me to just like here's all of my stuff. If somebody wants it, buy it, cool. Like so like that eBay format like works really great for me in that regard. Whereas like it almost feels like a lot of times like when you have a smaller following and you're going live on like a whatnot, it's almost like, oh, will you please buy my Joe Burrow card that normally I could sell on eBay for $10 for like 99 cents here, please? You know what I mean? Like I don't know, it just doesn't feel good to me. I
You
don't know if
you
you
got you
guys
got
have a,
you got to become like Don West from the Home Shopping Network.
and it just feels
And we
disingenuous.
got Fleer, a
Yeah.
full set, 1987 Fleer. And then we have Donruss, 1988 Donruss. You get all 15 of these sets for $19.95 plus shipping and handling. You cannot go wrong. You're right. You have to, you know, you, you have to take a card that is a $3 card and try and talk it up to make it a $5 card. It's like, I tell you the one thing I wish that eBay could do, and I know it's something that they probably wouldn't, but if there was any way in these, and I'm gonna say it's sports card market centric, if there was a way that they could figure out to get rid of the 30 cent uh, fee, what is it, payment fee, I wish they would.
Yeah.
I wish they could figure out a way to do it because when you think about it, then at least if you sell this card for $1.50 with free shipping,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you figure you're 93 cents in the hole before fees.
Yeah.
So now that $1.50 card, is 57 cents. And then you take, whatever your fees are, whatever. What is it? If you don't realize, because then you don't realize you had a promoted fee. And then, the other thing you really weren't necessarily paying attention to people run sales or people run promotions. There are a lot of
Mm-hmm.
bulk sellers that, buy 5 or more cards or 7, or I think a lot of the popular ones are 7
Yeah.
or more cards and get 25% discount.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Now all of a sudden that that $1.50 card and stuff, it starts to
Oh yeah.
make that profit margin a little bit, a little bit soon. It wasn't too soon, Don. It was perfect. Dommy, it was right on time. Clear. I saw it the
It
other
was
day.
actually a very good impersonation, man. I've like felt like I was right back to like the mid '90s. Me and Marty used to always cut up on that guy like whenever we'd be growing up because it always seemed like like regardless of what he was selling, he was always like $75. So, like literally every single time we'd be watching it, like this dude selling something else for 75 freaking dollars. Like, is that just like a magic number?
Yep. All these sets, one low price.
1995 classic, folks. Only 1 million printed.
Yeah. You cannot go ahead and find this anyplace else. Sure, Don.
But yeah, that's exactly what I feel like the culture of like Whatnot is like, you know, and no shade to people that make really good money on there. I haven't been one of them, you know, and there's only so many times like I'm willing, like in order to build something, I'm willing to invest money into it. So it's like my first few streams, I'm cool with selling stuff for like under what it's worth to like get people to like, oh, okay, this guy has good deals, XYZ. But like when I'm 10, 12, 15 streams in, I don't want to be selling stuff for like considerably less than I could sell it for on eBay
I
and not
agree.
have to feel like I'm fleering people into buying it. You know what I mean? Like that just, I don't know. For my own personality, I'd rather just put it on eBay and, you know, still give people good deals, but not have to like feel like I'm hoarding myself out for it.
No, you should list your 88 tops commons. You
Yeah, I
know,
mean
that
some sets are really good to list commons in. I'm not specifically sure about 88, but like 86 like is a great year to list because of like say Jerry Rice rookie card
Yep.
was that year and people try to complete those sets. And the older sets are always more common for people to try to complete because there's not like a million different parallels to collect. It's like if you're collecting, you know, like you know, just random Bobby Bonilla from whatever set. There's going to literally be one Bobby Bonilla, you know, unless
Right.
like there's an insert of him. You know, that's
Mhm.
all you really have to look for is that one Bobby Bonilla card. So a lot of the older sets are a lot more collectible for that reason.
Well, and not only that, I think what you have, if you look at set builders, let's face it, they're the older dudes. They're not young guys. There are very few younger people doing it, right? Because you don't see a lot of people, oh, I want to build the 2021-22 NBA Prism, basketball set. It's like you don't see a lot of that and everything. But what you might see is the guy who just gets, the guy who's in his 50s, who just gets into, who gets back into the hobby, and they remember collecting, 81, 82 is when they got into it. And they're like, oh man, you know what? I should go and, do some of those sets, right? So they'll look for the 81s, 82s, like those older ones, because let's
Yeah.
face it, if you're trying to build a set, of what, of a modern card, more people might be willing to go out and go to Walmart, go to Target, buy a box, buy a couple of boxes, pull out everything that they need, right? Well, if you're trying to do a set of 82 baseball, 88 baseball, you're not just going to any store and finding 88 baseball sitting on the shelf, right? So you have to go to to an eBay and stuff like that. Most of them have done well over there, have brought an audience from other platforms. Yeah, most of the people have. They've been able to take their audiences from YouTube or Instagram or TikTok, and and bring them over, to Whatnot, which, and then what that also does is, the bad part to that whole thing is that a bunch of those become inflated sales because people are more about buying from that YouTuber than they are about, the product.
Yeah. I mean, look at it this way. Like, would just using for an example, like we'll use Huddle Card since we're on your channel. Now, imagine Huddle Card is like the big influencer in the space. Like, imagine your channel's like the size of Jeff Wilson's, and people are like, "Oh my God, I can buy this, you know, Bobby Bonilla card off of Huddle Card Collection in a Mets uniform, knowing that he's a Mets guy."
Right.
Like, obviously, that card's going to sell more on your Whatnot stream, knowing that you're a Mets fan, than it would just randomly on eBay to any random Bobby Bonilla Mets collector. You know what I mean? Like, because you would be Huddle card with the following that people are there to see. Like, I feel like a lot of people are actually on Whatnot to like actually support the people as opposed to on Whatnot to support like the actual platform or actual fans of Whatnot. Like, I mean, granted, like I don't use it very much because I'm not really big into buying into breaks and stuff like that because I'm the type of guy who gets trash from these breaks. You know, I have not been lucky enough to get loaded boxes. Sorry, Dom. See, I have a different feeling for Bobby Bonilla because I'm a Pittsburgh guy. So like, I had him before.
Both have a connection to the player. Both have a connection to the player.
Yeah. So I guess that's kind of where Bonilla came specifically. But yes, I
and
do
he gets
and
he gets a bum rap because the Mets are still paying him. But like in the way it's always brought about, it's like he's the only one, and he's not the only one. There's so many players out there that teams are paying that have been retired and so on and so forth. But you know, because for whatever reason, because he was smart and said, hell, I'd rather have $1 million a year until 2035 than you give it to me all right now. And you know, you can have them.
Actually, Dom, I'm one of the few that collect Bobby Bonilla, but only in a Pirates uniform. I don't collect any of his Mets cards.
There you go, Dom.
Although if they made one with like his like yearly paycheck on it, I would probably collect that one. Just
that
because
that would be a cool one.
But yeah, I understand why that would suck. You know what I mean? Like, especially coming from a team like the Pirates who don't spend money ever. You guys are spending more than our like yearly salary just on Bobby Bonilla.
Mm-hmm. Well, that part is true. Yeah, with the whole Whatnot thing, I went live 3 times on Whatnot. The first time we had an auction. Mike and I did it together. We did have an auction and everything, and you know, guys and girls are asking, hey, do you have any, of this hot player? Do you have any, do you have any Mike Trouts that you might want to part with? Do you have any, Aaron Judge and all this kind of stuff? And it's like, well, yeah, sure, I do. But I'm going to just bring out the base because there's only 8 of you here.
Yeah.
So if there's only 8 of you here, I'm not bringing out the $5 to $10 Trout cards because starting them at $1 and there's only 8 of you here. If only one of you wants it, you bid $1 and I lose anywhere from $7 to $9.
That's the difficult part, man. Like it got with a lot of my streams. If it was a card that was worth that much and I only had that many people, that became my giveaway card. It was like, okay, yeah, I'll grab one for the next like hour I'm live for the giveaway, because that's one thing that they like try to instill in you. Like when you're a new seller, do giveaways to get people to follow you. So that way, when you go live, like they get a notification, hey, that person's live. And if they see that you do a lot of giveaways, they'll be more prone to be in your stream because they want the free stuff. So a lot of that stuff I just like saved. Like I would do like slabs and stuff for giveaways every hour. And it just got to the point like where like even if I was just selling cards that were $1, I still felt like I wasn't really getting my value because most of the time I'm sourcing cards for close to $1 from card shows. You know what I mean? So it's like once you factor in their fee, shipping, like anything else, like I could be potentially losing money on on actually even transacting here.
Yeah.
So then gets to the point, like I said, like that paired with the fact how it like actually makes me feel like disingenuous, because like if I'm selling something that I'm not excited that I'm not excited about, and I'm trying to like pump it to you that like this is the greatest thing since sliced bread, like that makes me feel like I'm taking advantage of you as the buyer. You know what I mean? Like, oh my God, look, I have a Joe Burrow. It's like a Gridiron Kings rookie card base. Like, you know what I mean? Come on, guys, who's gonna give me the next $1 on this one? You know what I mean? It's like I paid $1 for it in the bargain box. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, and I'm very like, open with that. Like whenever I pick stuff up for eBay on the channel, it's like, yeah, I bought all of these for $1. These were all 50 cents. Like I might be listing it for more, but like at least I'm genuine about like how
Yeah.
much like I actually have into the card. And like most people understand that it's like a business where you're trying to profit from it, so most people understand if you got $1 into a card, they're okay with giving you $2 because you actually went through the process of listing it, shipping it, XYZ, you know what I mean?
Right.
But then trying to pump more out of that specific card than it's even worth is like I'd even feel bad like if you're giving me say $5 on a card that's worth $3. You know what I mean? Most people aren't going to care, but like me, like that would bother me. You know what I mean?
Right.
That just because I have a YouTube channel or I have a following, that you're now all of a sudden willing to pay more than something's worth.
Yep.
So
What you mentioned the giveaways and stuff like that. Dom says they should be illegal, stuff like that. I think isn't it on Fanatics with Fanatics Live? You're not allowed to do, duck races, rolling dice, and all the other kind of stuff. So
I've seen they have a roulette wheel. I haven't seen like any of the duck races or anything yet on
maybe
there.
it's something along those lines. Because people were saying that if you take all that kind of stuff away, what do you do when there's multiple players from different teams on a card?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what they've been having issues with is now actually divvying up those multiple player cards. But I mean, even going to like them trying to de-gambleize this, even with them still allowing the spinning wheel, like I hate the spinning wheel because it's like you're buying into a break for the chance to spin the wheel next.
Right.
And it's like, say there's baseball, there's 30 teams, right? I want the Pirates. I'm basically paying for the chance to get the Pirates, but I could end up with the worst team that's like literally has no value with that spin. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, or I could end up with the best, but chances are you're probably not going to get the team you want. And then like the more the worst teams go, the more people start to spend for the chance at the next spin so that they can get a good team. But
Yep.
I mean, I just feel like it's a easy way for people to milk people to pay for stuff that's not worth it. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like,
you say that, and sure, I was watching Whatnot the other day. I had nothing to do. I just was something popped up, and I was like, I wonder what's going on and Whatnot. There was just there wasn't no videos I felt like watching or anything. So I went over to Whatnot, and the guy was doing Bowman hobby boxes. I think he was doing 6 Bowman hobby boxes. And the way they do it is, they do the deck of cards. And, they basically, okay, we're going to bid. Here we go. And some of them have, if it reaches this price, it's, pick 2, keep 1. If it reaches this price, it's pick 3, keep 2. Or it's, stash or pass, type thing where, stuff like that. So, the wheels start spinning, they start going, and the first few, they're like going for in the mid 40s, low 50s, mid 40s, low 50s. Hey, Dusty, how you doing, buddy? Mid 50s, low 40s stuff. And the guy's like, gee, come on, folks, come on. There's no way these should be going for this much money. They should be going for way, the lowest should be in the 60s on these and so on and so forth and stuff. And where I'm going with this is what your point is in the beginning, guys are bidding 45, 50, 55 bucks, and they're going, okay, I want, card 10. So a guy counts 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, flips it over, and you get the Colorado Rockies, and then all of a sudden he started getting through the deck, and with like 8 cards left, 4 of them were still like card teams that you could get really good hits on that had the really top prospects. And then he starts with the hype. Come on, folks, you got to be kidding me. There's no way. And then all of a sudden, $70, $80, 100 something, and he had and I was very surprised at the price, but for Bowman baseball, I think it was 3 hobby boxes or 4 hobby boxes. the pick 2 get 1 was $169. So as it got down to like 6 cards or so and so, right, to where like there was like 7 or 8 cards left, and there was still like 3 or 4 teams, he starts pumping them up and everything, and now the guys are now that people are bidding, they're going, well, hell, 100, I'll do 169 now to pick, to pick 2 and keep 1, and stuff like that. But to your point, I mean, that's the type of thing that was happening as the good teams were getting left.
Mm-hmm.
The bid goes up and up and up and everything. That's why I don't like going into random team breaks. I don't want the best team. Like for me, I want the Mets and stuff, right? You want the Pirates and stuff. There's somebody who may want Philadelphia. There's somebody who may want Kansas City, or the Cubs and everything. And those aren't the cards with the big hits. But I'm going to pay potentially, 2 or 3 times more than what that team should really go for, because I'm on a wheel and everybody else is bidding because they want to get, they want to get the Angels so that they can get Trouts and Otanis.
Yep. And that's the sad thing, because even if you hit well on the wheel, like, because I actually hit the Steelers once on an immaculate wheel. It was like an immaculate draft wheel. I was trying to get a Kenny Pickett. And wouldn't you know, I didn't get one damn Kenny Pickett in that entire damn break.
Oh, wow.
Like, the entire reason I was buying in for potentially, it was like, oh, man, I just hit the Steelers. I was, like, freaking out, running around the room. And then next thing I know, not one damn Kenny Pickett. Like, I got a few, like, Najee Harris and Pat Freiermuths out of, like, previous year stuff, like Select or whatever, which is, like, cool. Like, I like those guys. They play for my team. But, like, if you're buying into a flawless – and you're praying to God you hit the Steelers, you're trying to get Kenny Pickett's,
Oh, heck yeah.
Even though, like, I had gotten, like, lucky and hitting the team every single person was going after, I still didn't get the cards I wanted.
Nope.
I very well could have just bought a flawless RPA of Kenny Pickett and called it a day.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. The gambling, that's really what it is. It really is. When you're doing that type of stuff, it really is gambling, and that's what, like, surprises me. That for a while there, just for some, just to see some of the antics. I was watching, some backyard breaks on Twitch and stuff, and they're like, okay, we're gonna do a low end random. They would do like random division if they would, or like if they were doing, multi sports, they do, they might do random team, they might do, or spot whatever, and they have it broken up into, the 8 spots, because they're going to do, football, and you get the divisions and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're going to, we're going to do our low end one, and it'd be like, $600 a spot.
Yeah.
And they would get more, where they would do more immaculate, flawless, and a bunch of other stuff, where it would be like $3,000 a spot, $4,000 a spot. It's like, damn, that's
out of my price range.
Crazy, man.
Yeah.
Yep. You're right, Dusty. Setting the prices and stuff like that, and going from there is the way to go. Yeah, and that's what winds up happening. There are more customers that have a bad experience than a good experience.
And that's one of the things I don't like about breaking, for the most part, is majority of the time I do it, outside of, like, let's be honest, most people aren't like Huddle Card. Like, whenever you get skunked, he just starts throwing in extra boxes. Most people don't do that. Like, most people are like, oh, you got skunked? That sucks. I'm sorry that you just spent $300 to get, potentially Brock Purdy, but ended up with, like, literally nothing. You know what I mean? Like, that's just the way it is. But, like, most breakers aren't going to make sure that people walk away with, like, value.
Yeah. And again, I mean, that's what, that's why that was one of the reasons why I liked the eBay stuff. Even buying into breaks on eBay, I preferred, to do them there and stuff, and stuff like that. Um, you know, I mean, I've done some on YouTube. Some of the guys and some of the discords are like, "Hey, I'm going to go live on YouTube and I'm going to do a break and stuff." Okay, but it's weird. It kind of sucks at times because, like, if Dom and I are both in the same stream and everything, and the Mets come up, it's like, okay. It's like, well, Dom, you can go ahead and have it. I'm not going to bid against you. Or I'm not going to bid up, somebody that I know.
For sure.
Not going to happen or anything. Yep. Yeah.
It's very important. Customer experience. One thing I've noticed is, like, lately in terms of feedback and stuff like that, I feel like eBay's gotten way lazier at actually checking to see if, like, feedback is, like, deemed, like, warranted or whatnot. Because, for example, in the last year, I've gotten 2 negative feedbacks, and neither of which I, like, deserved. So I got a hold of eBay to, like, dispute it, and they just, like, insta denied me. Like,
Yeah.
not even, like, you could tell a human being didn't even look at it. It was just like some kind of algorithm going, "Oh, okay, you wanted that deleted. It's not happening." So, like, I don't know if anyone else has experienced that. Like, one of the negative feedbacks was literally like, "Hey, I can tell that the seller didn't do anything here. This was something that happened in transit. They offered to take care of me, but it was too much of a pain in the butt to return a $2 card. So they gave me a negative." So, like, literally the feedback is that I did a good job trying to take care of the issue they had that was caused by the shipper or the shipping, USPS or whatnot. I stepped in, offered to help them right away, XYZ, but I still got the negative. And eBay, like, you could tell, did not see that because it was just automatically, yeah, that's a good negative, which sucks. Like, I was very close to, like, tagging eBay for business on social media and being like, "Are you guys even, like, doing your jobs over there?" Like,
Yeah.
like, what are you looking at? Like, the feedback is that I did my job, yet you're still letting me keep this negative. It's insane.
I had somebody I read one in one of the reseller groups that I'm in on Facebook that eBay would not reverse a feedback that was left for the wrong seller. The person left the negative feedback and then followed up with saying, "Ooh, I'm sorry, this was not this seller. It was another seller." The seller went to eBay for business and said, "Look," and they were like, "Yeah, no, sorry." They just gave their opinion. They're like, "What? No, they didn't give their opinion. They said that they made a freaking mistake."
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what sucks is because,
Yep.
like,
You got that right, Dommy.
it does affect a business at some point. Like, one or two is not going to be a big deal, like when you have multiple thousand, like, sold listings like me. But, like, imagine you're a brand new seller and you get that negative accidentally, or it's something that's completely out of your control, but just because that guy's having a bad day, he's going to basically stick that on you. That's something that could affect your business,
Yep.
especially if you don't have very much feedback. Because if I'm seeing, like, you have sold 20 cards and you already have one or two negatives, I'm probably not going to buy off of you, just
Right.
based on the fact that you're probably not a good seller if you can't handle 20 things being sold without
Yep.
having negatives. But it can really happen to anyone for any reason, and just
Well, I think
like
that's the bad part about it is that to your to what you're saying, right? You wouldn't like if it says it right there, right? If it says right in the feedback, that you, the seller, did nothing wrong, that it was the shipper that did something, why would you do that? Number one, as a customer, why would you leave negative? If you want to leave neutral, leave neutral.
Mm-hmm.
Well, why would you want to leave? Why would you want to do, why would you want to leave negative?
I think it's the same as like people that leave negative comments on videos. Like they have something going on in their life and they just want to make you feel as crappy as they feel for the most part. At least that's the
Yeah.
way I look at it, because like whenever you're literally offering to give somebody a full refund, pay for shipping, and then they still hit you with a negative, like, there's really no other way to put it. Like, especially if you're fair with people and you treat them well and you don't actually provide poor service.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because especially like whenever people buy from me, I typically ship the same day, if not the next day, if I'm busy. You know what I
Right.
mean? So like they get their stuff super fast. You know what I mean? So there should be like zero complaints in like any of the service that they've handled. I know that the card that they've gotten has been packed safely to where it should be safe, unless like God forbid USPS like runs it over with their truck, which is possible. You know what
Right.
I mean? Like, which is most likely what happened in this last case that, eBay just failed to even, I guess, read or see. Like, and that's what bothers me, is it just like egregious to the point where like even the comment says that like I did my job. So it's like you shouldn't get a negative for doing what eBay asks you to do. Because there are some people that'll literally threaten you with getting negative feedback just so that you give them the item for free. You know what I mean? So like that's always something you got to be careful of too, because once those people find out like who your store is and if you actually do stuff for them, then they'll take advantage of you more often.
Very true.
Typically, if I get people like that, I block them.
Yep. So I was in a quandary a couple of weeks ago with the seller. I was the purchaser, and they advertised. I bought cards. I bought 3 cards, and they advertised right on the thing, free priority shipping. I was like, wow, that's a reason to buy some cards.
Yeah.
But they shipped the cards via eBay standard envelope. And it's like, is that worth a negative feedback? Is it worth a neutral feedback? I mean, I did get my cards. There was nothing wrong with them. So that was positive, you know? So I was in it. So I decided not to leave feedback because I didn't feel comfortable as a seller. See, that's another thing. Sometimes I worry about, right? I'm a seller. I don't. I need to buy from my other account that I have more often, right? That has a different name and stuff like that. Because my fear, like I truly did not want to leave negative feedback, because my fear is he turns around, buys a couple of my cheap cards,
Mm-hmm.
and boom, does the same thing for me, makes something up and does the same thing for me, and I'm not going to get the ability to have it removed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that definitely makes sense, because I've
Yeah.
I've even seen like horror stories of like, people actually attacking people that leave them feedback, like, not physically but like verbally, like whether they look up their username on social media or
Yep.
do whatever, you know what I mean, and like verbally attack um, people for leaving comments. So I wouldn't put that past somebody to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, as far as that, I have a really simple process when it comes to like the PWEs. So I use Dymo, not Dymo, Rolo labels, which are just almost the exact same size as this. So essentially, all I do is I just put the label right on top of this, and it holds it perfectly. So it's
Yeah.
almost the exact same size as my actual envelope. So I don't
It,
typically need to use tape or anything for any of my plain white envelopes.
yeah. Well, Dusty and I were talking last night, and that was one of the things we were talking about. I was like, I don't understand the guys who, use the eBay standard envelope, right? And then you buy one card and they take the freaking label, they take clear tape and they tape both sides of the envelope and then they put the label on, they put the label on top of it, and it's like, dude, what are you going through all that trouble for? Holy cow.
Yeah.
If you don't have that much confidence in your envelopes, don't buy envelopes made out of tissue paper.
For sure.
Buy a little better stuff.
And that's what's funny is because my envelopes come from Dollar Tree, and they work just fine.
Very, very true. Yeah. I mean, that's all you could hope for,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We are the bar.
Wait, man. I always forget. StreamYard is backwards.
We are the bar. No, but you're right. I mean, and I don't know. There's so many people out there trying to sell and stuff like that right now that it's just it's hard to compare yourself to everybody else. There's so much. I mean, when you truly think about it, the rarity, the rare cards, they're rare for a reason, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're not going to see a lot of those cards. We were never going to see a lot of those cards show up, on eBay. It was like, when you're talking about, whether it's, of course, trying to finish a set, a special set of something, and not that you want to do the base set, but you want to do the green cracked ice, set from Prism. Well, you got to hope that every single one of those cards, if you're not opening up yourself, right? If you plan on buying them, you need to hope that at least one of every one of those cards gets opened, number one. And number two, you have to hope that every single one of those gets sold. And then number three, you have to hope that you see it before the other person who's doing the exact same thing. Or that it's just that's their favorite player, and you have to try and buy it. So trying to do certain things is very hard. You almost have to have the stars align for you to be able to complete certain things like that.
Very true.
And it doesn't matter the player. That's just it. It doesn't not matter the player. It's not just like I would like to do. Like I said the other night, the Fred Lynn Topps Chrome Anniversary 2021. I would like to get each one of his cards. The truth is I know that's I hate to use the word never, but it's highly unlikely that's ever going to happen because two of the cards are one of ones, another two are out of 5, and there's another two that are out of 10.
Yeah.
I mean, that's only 32 cards total between those three. There's only, right? So you have to someone has to open it, someone has to want to sell it, someone has to then list it, and then you have to see it at the right time to either buy it now or be a part of the auction for you to go ahead and get it, and willing to spend whatever it takes to get it.
Yep. Very true. Very true.
You got that right. You got that right. That's why, like me, like even cards that come fresh out of the pack and stuff like that, and like if I take it, it goes right into a penny sleeve, right into a top loader.
Mm-hmm.
Those are used, good condition.
Yep.
I won't even use near mint or mint or anything like that. Nope. No, I'm not going to do that, man.
I haven't really looked into the variables behind the new policy, but I've seen a few people post videos today that I haven't had a chance to watch yet, that eBay may be asking you to list like the potential grading potential of cards moving forward. Have you heard anything about that?
I did not, but holy cow.
Yeah, like even on raw cards, they're asking for, like, obviously, like there's you're still having to grade, like, as far as is this mint, near mint, excellent, very good, poor as far as that. But from what I saw in some of the videos that were posted today from some of the other sports card creators, they might be changing what you need to actually put as far as what the card's grade could potentially be, which is going to be really difficult for guys like me that have like thousands of like raw cards that like are $1 to $5 not even worth looking at for condition. You know what I mean?
You're not going to grade them.
Correct.
You're not grading, you're not grading a base, number, I mean, whoever it may be, insert player name. I mean, you're not gonna grade the, I don't know, the no name rookie for the New York Knicks or the Cleveland Cavaliers who rides the bench. You're not gonna, I mean, even as a fan, I'm not gonna get that card freaking graded as rookie. Oh my gosh, his base. Okay. Yeah, you could get it graded. Who the hell's going to get it graded? It's not 2000, man, where people are grading every freaking rookie, no matter who the hell it was.
Yep.
Every friggin' base rookie card was getting freaking graded in 2020.
Yep.
That's why the backlog got to 10 million freaking cards or whatever the hell the real number actually wound up being at PSA.
It's crazy to think how many of those cards are already worthless.
Mm-hmm.
I've contributed to those worthless cards. That is for sure.
Yeah, it's way too subjective.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, so that means what? Everybody needs to get a centering tool. Everybody needs to get a magnifying glass with a good
that's
light.
What's crazy. I mean, the majority of people like don't have any clue what a card's going to grade. You know what I mean? Like, even if you're somebody that like grades a good bit, you still can't like be held accountable for the inconsistencies of the grading companies out there. You know what I mean? Even if like you're somebody who's very well versed and like, oh yeah, this should be a 10. You have no control over PSA saying it's a 9. You know what I mean? When somebody goes to grade it. So now is that something that is going to be held against you as a seller? Just giving people more of a reason to want to return cards.
Well, of course it is, because it now opens the door for them to do an INAD.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Sorry. And then and now here's what I wonder above it now. So what kind of recourse do they have? You say this card's it's a mint card. It's gem mint. I mean, this thing, the corners, centering, whoo, surface, yeah, baby, edges, whoa, right? And they send it in, and it gets an 8. Right? And it gets an 8. So you buy the card, now it comes back an 8. Is there going to be recourse against you as the seller? Hey man, you said this card, I'm leaving you negative feedback now because you said this card was going to be a 10. It came back an 8. It's worth less money now.
Yep. And I really hope that's not where it's going.
Correct.
That would be Heine.
That would be a big old piece of Heine.
Yep.
It's interesting what and again, is there fanatics influence in a lot of this stuff? 2002 classic rookies 100 card set, $5 plus shipping for Shaq rookies. Now I have to put a so-called grade in it. Why list it? Is it a required field or is it a suggested field? Because if it's a suggested field, I would leave it blank. If it's a required field, I would put good condition.
Yeah, but I have been putting good condition on all my cards that are raw, regardless of what they are, because even if I feel like it's better than good condition, I can't be held responsible for what PSA says it is. So,
Yeah,
I figure if I say good, which is like one step above poor in their ranks, anything they get is going to be significantly better than that.
I agree. Definitely the way to look at it. It's not worth it's not worth taking the time and oh
So
wow.
yeah,
I see.
required as in an hour ago.
To
That's
me,
nice.
I would just be putting good condition. I may go very good if I pulled it right out of a box and put it in a sleeve and then put that in a top loader. Maybe I would go very good, but I would just put good condition. I mean, because to your point, it's too damn subjective.
Mm-hmm.
Again, if you're not going to have what is good condition, what is very good condition, what's mint condition to the naked eye? Do you know how many cards look to be in gem mint condition
Oh
and
yeah.
mint condition, like 9.5 and higher? There's
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people look at it and go, "Oh my gosh." Like I see, I'm in a couple of discords and people will go, "Oh, take a picture of the card." And and the card and the picture, it's not directly like this. The picture, the way they took it, they were laying it on the table, so it's down like this a little bit, right? So now it's
Mm-hmm.
like, oh no, dude, that's off center, top to bottom.
Yeah.
You're looking on a computer screen of a photograph that somebody took. You're not looking at the actual real friggin' card in your hand.
Yep. Very true.
You're right. You're 100% correct and everything. I mean, I couldn't tell you how many cards I looked with the naked eye. I'm like, man, I would love to send these in, for an SGC special, and I'll give him the mic, and then Mike will go, yeah, these 5 are going to be 8s.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what? Are you sure? There's no freaking way. It's like, well, did you use the magnifying glass with the light? No. Okay, well then you would have seen the problems. You're looking with the naked eye, but that's what's
Uh-huh.
going to wind up happening.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yep.
Okay, is it graded then near mint? Okay,
Mm-hmm. Cool.
excellent. Phew.
Yeah, because that could get really hairy if you're trying to assign numbers. Especially like when the average person listing a card probably has no idea how to assign a grade.
Exactly. 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 Exactly.
Thanks, Big John. Appreciate you, brother.
Yes. Thank you very much for the information.
Feel free to drop the link to your store too, brother, if you want. Let people see your hard work.
But it's like with anything, man. There's too much suggestibility to it. If you're going to have somebody try and do it on their own, and then again, are there going to be standards per se? You know, um, Again, just like like it was said, my ding corner versus your ding corner is a little different, right? You even if the same ding to me, it may look worse to you than it looks to me.
True. Very
Where
true. Very, very
doesn't
true.
doesn't doesn't sound like it, Dusty. Does not sound like it. But that's one of those things when you look at it, from that standpoint. Um, Again, crazy ass stuff and everything.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just again, something like this. Is this the fanatics influence?
Could be.
You know, is it a scamming influence? Is it the people that see it, that are hearing, you know, that are feeling as though they're being scammed by their card, by people selling them cards, then now they're going to try and force. But again, you know, what do you do? Because even, I mean, every single condition is going to be, is so suggestive, right? I could look at your good and think, no, man, that ain't good. That's poor. You know, you could have very good. Man, that's not very good. That's good.
Yeah.
You know, and you
For
know,
sure.
and again, now does it go ahead and does it open up for the potential of more returns? You know, well, forget it. Not even just real returns. What about, I hate to use this word scam, but the scammy returns? The person who just says, well, you know what? I don't think this card is in very good condition. I think it's in good condition. This card is
Well,
not as described.
and the other thing too is like, what very good are we using? Are we using like just your typical like, oh yeah, that's in good condition, or according to PSA, if the card's in good condition, it's a 2, or if it's in very good condition, it's a 3.
Right.
So like, what parameters for these conditions are we looking at?
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Because I mean, now now all of a sudden you've opened up to the point of, again, like I said, you potentially can have INADs like crazy. And the
Mm-hmm.
truth of the matter is at that point in time, if you do, the seller has to. And here's another, like, I guess. So I'm assuming if you went ahead, then you were doing free returns, and someone wants to return a card that's under, you know, $20, let's say a $5 card, will they get an eBay standard envelope label,
I'm not sure. I would
or
imagine.
or do they get a first class label,
It's a
or
good
sorry,
question.
ground advantage?
I would imagine it would be however they paid for it originally, but that's a good question because that could be substantially more if it was a card you only really should have been paying, you know, $1 or less to ship, and you're having
Yeah,
to pay 3 to 4. It'd be substantial, especially if that's more than you sold the card for.
exactly. You know, you go out there and you do this, and you sell a $1.50 card,
Mm-hmm.
and you use eBay standard envelope, so you pay 63 cents. But then when they go ahead, you know, like if they're going to return it, they fill out the return. Do they give you that same kind of label, or is it all of a sudden ground advantage, and you, the seller, you have a free return, so you have to pay it, and it's $4.88 because they're doing it first class.
Yeah, yeah, I could really see that becoming an issue.
That'd be a big ass issue, man.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
All right, well, we've been going for a while. It's after midnight. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us. We much appreciate it. What do we got going on, Anthony? Anything coming up for you?
Yeah, I mean, should actually be putting out a video tomorrow about tips and tricks for the national. So if you anybody's going to the national and you haven't been, or you know, you just want to see what my tips and tricks might be, I'll be putting out one of those tomorrow. Next week, though, Big John will be coming on as our guest for this podcast on my channel. So make sure you guys come on over there and subscribe to that as well. So you don't want to miss what he has to say.
Yep. And next week, I'll be at the National. So you'll be getting you'll be getting a combination of maybe some live feeds from the actual National as I'm walking around, or I will, go ahead and be shooting some videos and trying to get them up, the exact same day, trying to maybe sit down, pardon me, with Mike and doing like a, hey, just like a recap of the day of what we saw and this time, what
That's
the
awesome.
experience was like, at a day at the Nationals. So
Look forward to seeing that.
yeah, man. Thanks a lot, Dami. You're awesome,
Thanks,
buddy.
Dom.
We appreciate your undying support. It is much appreciated. And with that, everybody, again, have a good one. Don't forget, like, comment, subscribe. Again, come back, because when we look at that video that Anthony and Marty did, it was really good conversation about the comment. So that'll be a pinned comment to that video. So we'll see you guys later. Have a great one.